Hello all, welcome to the series of renewable energy resources lectures. Today I'm going to start with solar thermal energy. So, the sun is the most prominent feature in our solar system. The sun's great energy release is a result of an elaborate chemical process in the sun's core, a process of thermonuclear fusion. This energy is radiated from the sun in all the direction, and a very small fraction of it reaches to the earth. The sun's outer visible layer is called photosphere and has a temperature of around 6000 degrees Celsius. This layer has mottled appearance due to turbulent eruption of energy at the surface. The solar energy is created deep within the core of the sun. It is here that the temperature and pressure is so intense that the nuclear reaction takes place. This reaction causes four protons or hydrogen nuclei to fuse together to form one alpha particle or helium nucleus. The alpha particle is about 0.7% less massive than four protons. The difference in mass is expelled in the form of energy and is carried to the surface of the sun through a process known as convection, where it is released as light and heat. Above the photosphere, there is a transparent layer of gases known as chromosphere. The solar energy passes through this region on its way out from the center of the sun. The light emitted by the chromosphere is of short wavelength because of the high temperature. The faculae and flares arise in the chromosphere. The faculae are bright, luminous hydrogen cloud which form above region where sunspots are about to form. The flares are bright filament of hot gas emerging from sunspot region. Finally, there is the corona. The corona is the outer part of the sun atmosphere. It is a region that prominence appear. The prominences are immense cloud of glowing gas that erupts from upper chromosphere. The corona can also be seen during total solar eclipse. So the thermal energy is the mostly used because of the big efficiency compared with other renewables. It becomes cheaper than other alternatives. Solar thermal energy usage is environmental friendly. So to use solar thermal energy, there are three ways. The first method is called collections. The first method collects the energy of the sun to heat water or air or for direct use in solar home heating. The second method is used by large power utilities to indirectly create electricity through concentrated solar heat energy. Third method is known as passive solar leverages energy efficiency and the design of a building to regulate the amount of solar energy it receives in order to regulate its temperature. The next is the physics of solar thermal. So the solar constant S is equal to 1360 watts per meter square. The sun is a hot sphere of gas heated by the nuclear fusion reaction at its center. Every second, the sun emits a total energy flux of about 4 into 10 raised power 23 kilowatts, out of which only a small fraction reaches the earth. The solar radiation is the electromagnetic radiation emitted by the sun. This radiation can be converted into useful form of energy such as heat and electricity by different types of technology. The electromagnetic radiation emitted by the sun shows a wide range of wavelength. It can be divided into major regions: ionization radiations and non-ionization radiations. The highly injurious ionization radiation does not penetrate the Earth's atmosphere. The solar radiation has a spectral or wavelength distribution from short wavelength radiation, for example, X-rays and gamma rays, to long wavelength radiation. The different regions of solar spectrum can be described by the range of their wavelengths. The region of the spectrum that is visible to human extends about 400 to nanometer to 700 nanometer. The ultraviolet radiation is a part of the electromagnetic radiation is mostly practically useful part for humans. This is because the wavelength of solar spectrum also correspond to different energy levels. The short wavelength radiation has a higher efficiency level than a longer wavelength radiation. Now the portion of light that appear to come straight from the sun is called direct radiation. On a clear day, this can approach a power density of 1 kilowatt per square meter. The practical peak power densities are around 900 to 1000 watts per square meter. Next is the physics of solar thermal energy. The rate of heat energy flow depend upon the temperature difference between the two sides, the total area available for flow, the insulating qualities of the material. So to understand how heat loss occurs, we need to look at three mechanisms are involved in transmission of heat. One is conduction, radiation and convection. So we can see in the image that when we have the solar radiation, there are three processes. One is convection, conduction and thermal radiation. Next, last is the air infiltration. So storage of heat. Now the in water heating, 38% of the heat is absorbed by the ocean and 9% by the continents and 24% by the atmosphere. Now water is a good heat carrier. The specific heat of water is given as 4.187 kilojoule. Now there are two types of space heating. One is water, using water as fluid, using air as fluid. Now solar energy payback time. The average of payback time is about 5 to 9 years. Used for only hot water is 5 to 7, and used for hot water and house heating is 7 to 9 years. Used for hot water, house heating and pool heating is 5 to 6 years, and solar thermal system lifetime is about 20 to 25 years. Now installation capacity. The solar thermal capacitors is operating worldwide equaled 127.8 gigawatts, corresponding to 182.5 million meter square at the end of the year 2006, and it is 102 gigawatt for flat plate and evacuated tube collectors, and 24.5 gigawatt for unglazed plastic collectors, and installed air capacity was 1.8 2 gigawatt. Thank you. Next, I'll discuss a hydroelectric power plant. Thank you for today.